Good morning. It is Tuesday, October 9th. We have our October storm, as we kind of alluded to a while ago, and unfortunately it is intensifying as we suspected it would, with that warm water in the Gulf and staying just enough offshore from Florida Peninsula to not negatively impact the inflow. The shear is not a huge deal. Right now, highest winds forecast 105 knots before coming ashore. It's still Category 3. I'm still concerned it can sneak up to 4. But we'll see. A lot of times it all happens very quickly. Like Opal did, went from a 3 to a 5, then it started decreasing again. And we'll see. In any case, we'll take a closer look at Michael here in a minute. We do have Leslie roaming around still, and it's expected to strengthen a bit as it heads towards Spain. So that is definitely kicking up our ACE index. It's now up to about 20 points out of 100. So Leslie alone is responsible for 20% of the accumulated cyclone energy. We do have TD15, which will probably become Nadine. Doesn't look like it'll do anything. Not a long-lasting storm, but we do have a low flurry right now picking up in the Atlantic, with Michael being the focus. Here is an animation since sunrise. We probably could find a floating sector that gets us in a little closer. Center is well organized, but it is not bombed out to really tight looking eye, so maybe we'll get lucky with intensity. But that's it, moving slowly to the north. Here's a mesoscale floater. This is once a minute each frame, so you can really get a good view of the center. Let me see if I can make that a little bigger. Yeah, let's zoom in on the center, and definitely blow-ups occurring, and there is a visible surface of the water, a visible eye, and we'll see how this changes as it moves northward. I do expect it'll become better organized. Here is the forecast. You can see hurricane warnings pretty far inland, tropical storm warnings. Green, I think, is watch. High wind warnings, maybe. I'm not sure what the purple is. It might be a combination of, I think that might be a combination of hurricane watch and tropical storm warnings. All focused on this part of the state. Panama City is slightly to the left, Apalachicola to the right. Obviously much more built up as you get around Panama City, Destin area to the left of the storm, which might benefit those folks being on the left side of the storm. The exact path is pretty wide, but animation looks like this. Forget those flashing icons. Let's zoom in a bit and see what happens. So here's the forecast track. Panama City is just to the left, not far enough to be comfortable. Right now it's almost passing right over Panama City. Indian Pass, Apalachicola to the right, Ocklawahnee River, St. Mark's, Tallahassee over here. Fort Walton, Destin's pretty far left, so that area is a little better shape. We're looking at an animation still frame. When it comes on shore, strongest winds will be, if it forecast holds, 105 knots, 120 miles per hour, hitting this area the worst. The left side, certainly gust in that range, sustained winds near hurricane force as this moves forward. Then you have the northerly winds on this side. Now that's, like I said, it's real close. Any shift left or right, and it changes the impact. I'm not ignoring areas outside, but using the advanced wind estimation, sustained winds down here of 50 knots is nothing to sneeze at. With higher gusts, but cities like Tallahassee, perhaps 30 miles per hour sustained, gusts higher than that. A little too early to really hone in on the details, I think. Using advanced wind estimation, so there's a big caveat there. It's an interesting report there. Okay, Apalachicola on the east side, 60 knots, 70 miles per hour. Gust 90. Panama City, 55 knots. I should have this in miles per hour, but 60, let's just say 65 miles per hour. Sustained, that's hurricane force wind sustained, that's damaging. Gusts, and the trend is a little bit higher over there, and you can see some of the other towns in that area. Destin, what happened to Destin? Let's do another report. Actually, Destin is down here with winds 35 miles per hour, gusts to 50, in that general range. And on the far right, rainfall 7-8 inches in the most affected areas. Let's look at a rainfall prediction map. Generally 8 inches, 7 inches up through Georgia, 4 or 5 inches, and even up in the 4 or 5 inch range up in South Carolina as this moves to the northeast. Quite a bit less to the left. Places like Birmingham, less than a ½ inch, even around Atlanta. You don't see it on the chart, but matter of fact, I should have moved this a bit. That's better. Northwest Georgia, less than a ½ inch, down to 6-7 inches in South Georgia. Atlanta area, an inch to inch and a half. Some of the bands from the storm reaching on the left side, but any shift left or right will change that quite a bit. So let's look at the models to see which one they're favoring. Hurricane Center. GFS has been further left, but has either the Hurricane Center or the GFS has come in line where they're pretty close agreement. But look how this system stays very strong because it is moving quickly. They have it down, by the way, 942 millibars at landfall. That is category 4. And 982 by the time it gets to Augusta. Still tropical storm really, I think, through this whole area. It doesn't weaken to something, if it does weaken at all, until it moves offshore. Then we have cool, dry weather moving in. Quite a shift. Let's look at the European. So the European is, GFS have finally come in agreement. 942 millibars on the European. Same thing, 948 coming ashore. Then look at that, it just heads northeast. European a little further east. GFS kept it inland, which would be good for the Carolinas as opposed to a storm perhaps right on the coast. But nonetheless, this will be damaging all the way from obviously the Panhandle through good parts of Georgia into the Carolinas. And once it gets to the area where prior storm hit, then probably won't see a whole lot more damage because we already had it from the prior storm. But yeah, right through there. And so by, let's see, Thursday night, Friday morning, it is in the North Carolina. So it's moving pretty good clip. And Michael's intensity is all because of the fact we've had no cool air come down, no cold fronts come down into the Gulf, creating northerly winds, upwelling, cooling the waters in the northern Gulf. If we have had a few normal cold fronts come through, this thing would be weakening coming ashore and not maintaining a strength. I am 100% sure of that. I've watched this year after year. Matter of fact, I should find the chart from last year. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Okay, here we go. This is this year. Last year on this date, let's see, October 10th, look at that. And you might say, oh, it's a big deal. Well, that's a big deal. And last year wasn't that cold either. If I can go back even further, you'd see that it was even colder than this probably back in 17 or 16. So there's last year, there's this year. Warm, much cooler. Yeah, I couldn't find the prior year, but last year, remember, that was a very active season also. Speaking of season activity, we've officially gone above normal for the season. All those dire forecasts of quiet season kind of bust apart when we had that warm water surge back in September. And you can see Leslie has been responsible for 17 points. Michael already up to 6. This is in the Atlantic. And earlier this year, Florence was responsible for 37 points. So yeah, those are the big heavy hitters. This has helped the yearly percentage of normal up to 50% above normal. First time that's happened in a long time. So the climate ambulance chasers will like that figure, and they'll be all over that in the next few weeks. So try to influence uninformed voters. So bottom line, Michael intensifying today. I think it'll be a category 3 before day's end. Worried about it becoming a 4 before moving ashore. Areas around Panama City are the main target. Between there and Apalachicola, could shift further west, east, then affecting inland Georgia and South Carolina with winds and rain. So pretty and powerful storm, and I think Michael's name will finally be retired. I've been waiting for this. That's my son's name, and every Michael in the past has been a kind of a dud. So tomorrow morning at this time we'll be getting pretty close. So that's it for today. I guess we'll need a webcam of the day. Here is the Calypso webcam. Must be a hotel. Looks pretty nice out there today. Things will be changing over the next 36 hours. Anyhow, you have a good Tuesday. We'll be back tomorrow with another update. And if anything happens extreme today, we'll be there too. And like we said yesterday, you could always follow us on Twitter. Let me show you that again. We prefer to do quick updates at Storm Info on Twitter. That's Storm Info. But you go there, you do have to subscribe and or follow, and then we approve the request. So anyhow, have a good Tuesday. We'll be back tomorrow with another update, or later today if things go crazy. Meanwhile, follow us on Twitter. Take care.